Hey y'all. Um, Before we get into today's video, I just want to say I don't enjoy playing 2K anymore. So I'm canceling the Bowl series. It might come back eventually if I want to, but up until that point, or if that point ever comes, it will not be in production for further episodes. Anyways, today I want to talk about the the player who I see in this upcoming season as the X factor for the Denver Nuggets. That person being Will Barton. Now, Will Barton is a player who I was very nervous was going to leave the Nuggets this offseason, and that would have been bad. There are a lot of Nuggets fans who are like, "Oh, it wouldn't. Who needs Will Barton?" Dude, Will Barton's a really good player. He's a really good starter. He is a good shooter. He is a good playmaker. He is just someone who can shot create. He's kind of a jack of all trades. And that's a very important player to have, especially with Jamal Murray being out, especially with the lack of shot creation from that. And one thing I'll point to is a few seasons ago, I believe the 2019-2020 season, when in January it was only two starters were healthy, and Michael Porter was not a starter at this point. He was healthy, but it was Will Barton and Nikola Jokic. And during that stretch, it was those two in that two-man game that helped keep Denver afloat because during that month they still were fine. They were a good team, and it was in large part thanks to Will Barton, who averaged 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, which isn't like fantastic by any means. It's not an all-star level, but that's something that he can just come in and do is just fill in where he's needed. And he's also a solid enough defender. He's not a great defender, but he's not a terrible one either. And I think that if he comes in and averages, 16 to 18 points while Jamal Murray is out, that puts the Nuggets in a lot better of a position than if he just comes in and averages, 13, 4, and 3, or whatever he averaged last season, which is actually what he averaged last season, but that's besides the point. Like, it's very, he's going to be very important to the Nuggets. And, I mean, he's always been important to the Nuggets, which that's a large reason why I think, you know, they didn't take care of the Blazers in 5 and they didn't even win a game against Phoenix is because Will Barton was out and also PJ Dozier, who's another X Factor ish kind of player, I think, and I'll get to him in a second. But Will Barton helps a lot, and he averaged, I believe, like 18 ish points in the playoffs when he did play in like the two games he played against Phoenix. And if he had done that throughout the entire playoffs, I'm not saying they win the series, but they probably win at least a game. I wouldn't be surprised if that were to have been the case. And throughout the regular season, from March 1st to when he went down with that injury against Golden State, he averaged 14, 4, and 3 on 38, 81 splits. That's good. And if you, um, like, there's just a lot to like about Will Barton's game. And there's a lot to where you can point to things that he does and say, that's great. Teams need that. The Nuggets desperately need Will Barton to be good to keep them afloat until Jamal Murray gets back. And from what I've heard and from the reports that have come out, the Nuggets are aiming for a February or March return. Now, I would probably anticipate a January return just because Jamal Murray, from all the rehab videos we've seen, is rehabbing at a great pace. He is just absolutely killing rehab, which I'm really happy about because, I mean, I'm a Nuggets fan, and also he's just a person. I'm happy that he's getting back to where he needs to be. But I would not be shocked to see Will Barton come out and average like 18 points a game during that stretch. I wouldn't be surprised. And while I anticipate Michael Porter averaging 20 plus points a game, probably in 23, 24 points per game territory, I wouldn't be surprised if some nights Will Barton was the second option instead of Michael Porter. Which, say what you will about that, but that kind of, I don't think that would be a terrible thing, which I'm a huge Michael Porter fan. I love what he does. I love watching him play, and, I am a huge Michael Porter fan, and me saying that I'm not super opposed to Will Barton taking more shots than him on some nights is more of a testament to Will Barton than it is to Michael Porter. So that's Will Barton. And then the second X Factor, I think, this season will be PJ Dozier. Now, PJ Dozier is not someone on Will Barton's tier. Will Barton, you can kind of make a case for him being like a top 100 player at some points. Not super often do I see him on those kind of lists, but you can kind of make a case for him being in the 190 range. I don't think he has a super strong case for it, but you can make a case. PJ Dozier isn't really one of those guys. He's a good role player, is what I think he will be. And I think that if he comes in to this season and, improves his shot, which he did shoot 40% for a little bit there in the season, to start off the season at least. He was a decent shooter, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, throughout the first 17 games before he got injured the first time, he was a 40% three-point shooter. I don't know if that'll stick, but if he can do that, that will be very valuable to the Nuggets because he is also probably the best guard defender on the roster right now. After they traded Gary Harris, they didn't really have a great guard defender. Facu is a great defender for his size, but he is like 5'10", 5'11". And when it's at that point and you're going against 6'2", 6'3", 6'4 guys, it gets a little difficult to have Facu constantly be guarding them and feel comfortable about that. Facu did fine against, Dame when he was matched up against him. Like, he stood in front of him. But it doesn't matter. Dame just shot over him. Now, Facu is a great offensive player, and he's a good defensive player. I'm not saying Facu is, like, a bad defensive player by any means. He's a really good hustle guy. He can stay in front of his guy fine. But when you get to those premier players, I would feel more comfortable with PJ Dozier guarding them because he is a very tenacious defender. He guards his guy well. He has great size. He's 6'6" with a long wingspan, and I think he'll be really good. And I think that if he can come in, improve on playmaking a little bit, and have his shot and stay healthy, I think that he can be a really, really good piece for this team. And I think he would be a constant rotation piece. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the starter instead of Monte Morris and have Monte hold down the bench eventually. Now, Monte Morris, I think he should start. But PJ, I wouldn't be opposed to him starting if he can show those things. Now, those are the two X factors I see coming into the season. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, whatever the fuck, all that. Also, sorry for the lack of content recently. I've just been busy with school starting up and all that kind of stuff. But outside of that, I will see you guys later. Thanks.